Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Workplace Scientific's YouTube channel. I'm your host Dave Lombardi, again CEO of this amazing company. So in this video what I'd like to do is share with you an overview of what the role of an occupational hygienist actually is. Now the reason I want to jump into this is some of you might not believe that our profession, that of occupational hygiene, has actually been around for around 70-80 years. Now as I highlight that, again, it's not lost on me that a lot of people actually still don't know what we do. If you say occupational hygiene, it's usually taken as maybe dental hygienists or cleaning things. Again, it couldn't be further from the truth. So as I say, in this video, I want to give you a highlight and overview of what an occupational hygienist actually is. So I'm going to start off with a comparison. That's probably the easiest way to do it. I'm sure you've all come across a health and safety advisor, health and safety manager. Some of you watching may actually do those roles. And as I'm sure you know, the health and safety advisor, well respected in their own profession, and of course they are usually on site in an integral role, which is driving forward, of course, the health and safety compliance and looking after the people. An occupational hygienist is someone who also supports that health and safety advisor. So the role of an occupational hygienist, as you may have picked up in the intro video that you may have come across previously, is the role of occupational hygienist is there to identify those foreseeable risks of occupational exposure to chemical agents such as wood dust, isocyanates, solvent vapors, that sort of thing, as well as physical agents such as noise in the workplace. You are looking at vibration, thermal environments, EMF surveys, that kind of thing, as well as biological agents such as Legionella, bloodborne diseases, that kind of thing. So we look to identify the associated risks of what is going on in those instances. And the key bit here is not just about identifying the potential issue, it's also about the quantification of that risk, because I'm sure you can all appreciate it's one thing to identify, but we of course need to quantify as well. What does it actually mean in real terms? What is the actual associated risk? Because that's what we need to be focusing on. And once we've got those two elements, the third part in what a role of an occupational hygienist is to provide an overview of suitable control measures. So the three principles, if you will, ladies and gents, it's about identification, quantification, and control of occupational exposure, especially by, of course, as the name suggests, your employees. And that in a nutshell is what we do. If I may dig a little bit deeper, when we do our assessments, there is a few different elements to what the assessments look like and what it involves. There is what I refer to as the qualitative end, as well as the quantitative end. So the qualitative end, we will review previous literature, maybe such as past reports or maybe toxicological reports, epidemiological reports, that kind of thing, to give us a bit of an understanding of what it might look like. As well as under the qualitative banner, we also take photographic evidence, again, to give real indication of what the problem is. We also undertake discussions. Discussions is a massive, massive part of what we do as an occupational hygienist. Again, we need to understand the scale and relevance of the issues that are going on, and of course when they're happening and what that means to the workers, what that means to potentially you, if you're the health and safety person, and indeed, every stakeholder involved. So as well as, again, reviewing literature, as well as having discussions, taking photos, understanding what the scope of the problems are, once we've done that, we then quantify it, and we quantify those exposures using the most up-to-date scientific instrumentation. We gather specific data as in terms of quantifying. Of course, we compare those to the set standards. And by having those two elements, the qualitative and quantitative assessment pieces, we can now make a professional judgment on what that foreseeable risk is. Because that's a key thing, ladies and gents, to highlight here. When we talk about risk, we are talking about the foreseeable risk, i.e. the immediate issue isn't maybe the concern, it might be what's happening in the future. Bearing in mind, a lot of the chemical agents, they will not demonstrate or have an adverse effect for maybe 5, 10, 15, even 20 years down the line. So hopefully you can appreciate when we talk about foreseeable risk, it's preventing exposure now so that it looks after the person in the future. Again, probably a big concept for some people to get their head around, but that's ultimately what a focus point is. And by drawing these together, we now link into that third element I mentioned, which is all around controlling exposure. And Again, some of you health and safety people that are in the room watching this, hopefully you'll come to see we'll also use the hierarchy of control as well, again laid out by the HSC. Hierarchy of control, again we'll talk about that in another video, but hierarchy of control in its basic setup, elimination, substitution, engineering, administrative, and of course personal protective equipment. And that's what our recommendations are as an occupational hygienist, will be put to you as the client to of course make sure we are managing that risk and of course looking after those people. Now, ladies and gents, I'm hoping that the information we've talked about was useful for you today. If you've got any comments, any questions, please do feel free to get in touch. There's a link in the comments section. Do get in touch with us. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.